Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops.
With a population of just over 2 million, Kosovo is one of the smallest regions in the Balkans. But with the United Nations estimating that 70% of households own at least one gun, violence and mayhem have turned parts of Kosovo into war zones. This instability has been exploited by criminal gangs who have flooded the country with drugs and guns. And battling to control the chaos is one of the world's newest police forces.
Murders are quite common.
Right now we are looking for anything suspicious.
Nevojite të armajgjat sepse është rrezikshmëria nivelit të lartë.
This is just normal daily policing for this region.
Located on the Balkan Peninsula, in the southeast of Europe, Kosovo borders Montenegro, Albania, Macedonia and Serbia. After the Balkan War tore through the region at the end of the 1990s, the criminal underworld moved in. They have used the political instability and lack of law enforcement, establishing Kosovo as a base for their lucrative trade. Its porous borders and key position in the smuggling route from Afghanistan to the west means Kosovo now sees an estimated 40% of the world's heroin traffic through its streets. Kosovo is also one of the most disputed territories in the world, with the Kosovo Albanians and the Kosovo Serbs fighting for control of the region, making it one of the world's most difficult places to police. But the Kosovo Police Service, the KPS, is fighting back. They've set up a specialist unit to combat the increasingly influential underworld. Major Hadji Kriznicki is the Deputy Chief of the Department Against Organised Crime. He's on the front line in the fight against Kosovo's gangs.
Fighting organized crime is something special, because we know that we are doing this job to serve our people, to have Kosovo without narcotics. This is high motivation.
Today, Hadji is masterminding a raid on a large crime gang who he suspects are about to engage in a huge heroin deal.
Forma po lënet. Pastisja grupet I gëmdone, planë operative kombinacione janë gjithçka ose aranxhuar për pas se RSU-n jem të RSU-ja unë drejtim, por morrin atje do të him më një herë. Do të him sa më parë që mos na dalin cenat. Po.
In this remote village, 20 miles from police headquarters, Haji's team have got the gang's base surrounded. He's able to call on elite officers from across the KPS, guys who are trained to deal with the most dangerous criminals.
In the time you are waiting for information from the field, you are a little bit under emotion, but we are all happy and feel commander is doing his job very well.
He sets off to rendezvous with his unit, who are ready and waiting to make the bust. Getting it wrong could be fatal, as criminals in Kosovo are armed and dangerous. Then suddenly, it's time to go in and the raid is on. The team let Haji know they've got one of the suspects.
Bravo, bravo! Jo med precision ju, power forensika. They was planning to exchange the drugs with the money, and we just hit in this moment.
As well as finding one of the suspects, they've also seized a huge quantity of heroin.
They found more than 10 kilos. They said around 15 kilos, but we will learn when we arrive right now. This group is mixed, combined by Turkish citizens from Turkey and Kosovars. We are suspect that the drugs arrived from Turkey. They brought some materials to mix the drugs to make it more than it was.
This is a significant bust for Haji's team. They've seized a huge amount of drugs and arrested 2 suspected members of a drug smuggling gang. He is soon on the scene to take control.
Siinä jo, säkinipun. Ja, säkinipun. All drugs is here, but the investigators are doing a search in this house. More drugs? Or more drugs and weapons.
But it seems that the day's work is not quite over.
We're with the cops in Kosovo, whose job it is to police a region riddled with ethnic tension, and where organised crime is rife.
The Kosovo Police Service have just struck gold. They've busted an international crime gang and seized heroin with a street value of almost $1.5 million. But it seems that the raid isn't over yet. One of the gang is hiding on the roof. They get hold of him and pull him down from the roof. With all that firepower, he didn't stand a chance.
Sitten en niillä oma pussi tunnetaan moren hetustak.
Ej! Hadi hämta oss, hämta det! Var nere!
Regular institution. Hadi vardani me tu smir. Regular institution.
Hadi
The gang members could be looking at up to 10 years. A huge success in the KPS's fight against organised crime.
They're gonna be rogues.
What can I say? I am feeling very well. The complete group of people are arrested, and we have more than 15 kilos, somewhere around 20 kilos of heroin.
Although it's a success, the 20 kilos is just a drop in the ocean. An estimated 5,000 kilos of heroin passes through Kosovo every month. The police now have a job getting the conviction they want.
But amount of narcotics is not that big issue. For the judges, you have to prove them that this is an organized crime network.
Do you think this was an organised crime network?
Sure it was. We have here Turkish citizen arrested. We have people who sell the narcotics. We have people who buy the narcotics.
Hadji and his boys head back to the station for a few well-earned beers. Because they're undercover cops, their faces cannot be shown. Their identities may be secret, but their actions are very public. And some very important people are very happy.
Edhe ministrin këtë rast flet edhe në emër të qeverisë të Kosovës. Dhe për cilët tek të gjithë ata të cilët kontribuan në realizimin e këtij operacioni shumë të suksesshëm. Domethënë është kjo bortje prej ministrit. Unë i përgëzoj gjithëve edhe urime e gëzuar gjithëve.
Created in 1999, the Kosovo Police Service is one of the youngest in the world. Yet they're faced with problems that would test even the most experienced force. They have to police a political powder keg. Two ethnic groups have been fighting for control of Kosovo for years. The Kosovo Albanians and the Kosovo Serbs. So the KPS set up a specialist unit to deal with any unrest.
Listen.
Trained by Bezat Ahmeti, the Regional Support Operations Unit, or ROSU, are a specialist intervention team, crime for action whenever required.
Sigurisht që punën që unë e bëj e du, për ndryshe nuk do të kisha kryq për punë, edhe pse jam punë në përgjithësi të mëdha edhe në rezultate të mëdha, prapë vazhdoj të kryq të vetura.
The unit also trained for the most extreme situations, including hostage and kidnapping.
Trajnimet për çdo lloj lëmie. Rreth policisë trajnimet i ndihmojnë aty më gjinë ma lehtë në situata reale.
But their first responsibility is to the people.
Detyra e secilit policë është të mbrojtë jetrat e qytetarëve. Ndodhë në shumë raste të punë një shërbim një qytetarë, sepse të t'japëtu jetë një qytetarët në shtasë, dhe të ndodhë të policia të rëndë.
10 officers have met violent deaths in the KPS since it was established at the turn of the millennium. Cops here are 50 times more likely to be killed violently than in the UK. The next assignment for Bezat and his team will be one of their toughest ever. In a couple of days, they'll be policing a political protest. And the last time they were involved in a similar operation, it was mayhem. On February 10th, 2007, in the capital city, Pristina, what should have been a peaceful demonstration descended into chaos. Kosovo Albanians tried to storm government buildings in protest against the UN's presence in Kosovo. The city of Pristina was turned into a battlefield. 78 people, including 8 police officers, were injured, and 2 protesters left dead. The next protest in 2 days' time could be just as volatile.
Një farë mënyrë detyruar me u trajnu për situata të tilla, edhe me qenë gjithmonë gatshëm për aksione të tilla. Me qenë gjithmonë përgatitur fizikisht, taktikisht edhe psikikisht për aksione të tilla.
Bezat needs to ensure that his unit are ready for what lies ahead. This could be one of the most dangerous days of their short careers.
Trafficking people for prostitution is big business in Kosovo. For organised crime gangs, there's big money to be made.
In the town of Ferazaj, Ramadan Ahmeti and his unit are getting ready for a night shift. He heads a unit that is responsible for stemming one of the region's fastest growing problems, human trafficking.
Hey, kalzëm të mua, pranarën do të më mshirë gjithë qysh.
Mshirë me vesë, ka më mshirë, po mirë rastu me obë.
Shtatë e tjurë, nëse del dikush ekstra, del. Nësë del, panikë. Qështë do po? Super, qështë.
Kosovo is seen as an easy target. It has over 700 miles of porous border and strong criminal links to the Eastern European countries where the victims are often trafficked from. There's an estimated 25,000 women trafficked through the Balkans every year. They are bought and sold for as little as $1,000. Tonight, Ramadan and his anti-trafficking team are raiding a bar that they suspect is operating as an illegal brothel. They suspect a Serbian woman is being held against her will.
We are suspicious that she's a victim of trafficking, which is used for prostitution. I'm feeling good because I know that in the end I will save the life of someone that really needs to be saved.
The raid can only begin once Ramadan receives a coded message from 2 undercover officers who are posing as customers inside the bar.
Po mos çako tre. Çe shija e mia e lodh. Si kal. Faleminderit shumë.
The woman is there. It's time to go.
When I see the victims, especially when they are minors, I think in myself, what if she may be my daughter or my sister? We have to fight against the criminals and to save good people.
But raids like this carry a big risk for the cops.
This is a dangerous job also, because you are dealing with the criminals. Organized crime are much more difficult and dangerous than other type of crimes. If I will be killed or shot, I will feel the time, so till that time I have to work.
When the raid starts, the officers know they will have to move quickly to find the girl and secure any evidence. This establishment is trading perfectly legally as a bar downstairs, but upstairs they suspect it's operating as an illegal brothel.
Right now we are looking for anything suspicious, maybe drugs, weapons, anything. Okay.
Ramadan confronts the owner.
Kinesan dyshim. Kallzone se kiz.
Upstairs, the team have found the woman. As suspected, she was being held against her will.
Misliš ponovo da se vratiš nekad ovdje?
Okay. Samo se pakuj sa stvari, tvoje stvari, sve što hoćeš da uzmeš sad. The girl is going to be taken back to the shelter. It looks in her eyes that she's happy that we are here.
The police discover the owner has the woman's ID card. In the Balkans, you must have this on you at all times. But the police suspect that he was keeping it to stop her escaping.
Është ide e mirë me ardhë me na tregu në stacion. Se si ke ardhë deri te kjo vajzë.
The fact that the woman is from Serbia, historically a country that Kosovo Albanians have been at war with, doesn't matter to Ramadan.
She's a Serbian, and I'm happy that we are serving to all of people, no matter the nationality or religion or background. I'm happy to fight this crime, just because to have a better future for our people, our daughters and our sons.
Kosovo has one of the most underdeveloped economies in Europe, and a fledgling force is working in an environment of instability, division, and a far from certain future.
With its long history of upheaval, Kosovo is one of the most volatile territories in the world. In the late 90s, it was torn apart when it became involved in the deadly Balkan War. As Serbs and Kosovo Albanians fought a violent battle for control of Kosovo. More than 10,000 people were killed. Many of the dead were victims of ethnic cleansing as the Serbs attempted to overpower the Kosovo Albanians. The conflict was ended when NATO intervened, bombing the Serbs into submission in a bid to end the ethnic cleansing. The United Nations moved in to police the region, in which tensions between the two groups still raged. But there is one town in Kosovo where that's a lot easier said than done. Mitrovica is a town at war with itself. In the south of the city live the Kosovo Albanians, and in the north, the Kosovo Serbs. Both groups still see Mitrovica and Kosovo as their territory. Many of them are prepared to fight for it.
Mitrovica is like a modern day Northern Ireland.
The man charged with keeping the peace in this hotspot is David McLean.
Murders are quite common. We had one last week, we've had one today. These are just normal daily policing for this region.
As regional commander of the UN police in Mitrovica, David knows the city better than most.
There's what we call an imaginary red line, where they both know each other's territory.
Mitrovica is split by a river. The river is crossed by a bridge which is regularly the scene of violent clashes between the police and the warring factions.
We've had large demonstrations here over the years. We've had violence on this bridge. We've had explosions on this bridge. The violence can erupt at any second.
And when it does, it's the Kosovo Police Service and the UN who get caught in the middle of it. They often come under fire, trying to keep the two sides apart. But the danger doesn't faze David. In fact, he relishes it.
My job's a hobby to me. Ever since I joined the police way back in 1991, each day I go to it, it's because I love it. You say it's good.
Fresh guy.
It's a buzz to be in it.
Can you imagine doing any other job?
No, absolutely not. Well, I'm glad you are here to support the region. It's the main thing. Helps me, makes my job easier when you come here to support me.
Yeah.
So it does. Okay, see you later on. Bye-bye. Back home, I have a wife and 3 children, and I'm missing out on some of the most important times of their life. Coming up to doing higher education and all that. Sometimes I think to myself, am I selfish being here? Should I be back home with them? But who else is going to come and do this job? Yeah, there'll be somebody else ready to follow in, but I think I put my heart into this job. But I'll also try and put my heart into my family also.
David joined the British Ministry of Defence Police in 1991. He volunteered for the UN posting in Kosovo in June 2007.
And
despite having worked around the globe, he's never seen anything quite like Mitrovica.
These are the style of weapons that we come under attack from. This is known as an AK-47. This is the style of bullet that it fires. Very powerful, 7.62. If you go through all the history since '99, I think nearly every household in Kosovo had one of these in them at one time and still have at this present time.
There are estimated to be up to 400,000 small arms in Kosovo. So David needs to keep his vital organs protected.
See? Protects the bollocks.
So if a bullet hit that, you'd be completely...
Oh, you'd be in pain, but it wouldn't go through. It wouldn't go through.
David is well aware of the importance of good body armour, as he has policed some of the most violent clashes Mitrovica has ever seen. One of the worst happened in March 2008. Kosovo had recently declared its independence as an independent state, no longer under UN administration. This provoked a violent response from the Kosovo Serbs, who fervently believe that Kosovo is a province of Serbia. In protest to the declaration, Kosovo Serb court workers broke into the city's courthouse to stage a sit-in. The events of that day are indelibly printed on David's mind.
The court workers broke off the fence gates there, lifted them off, and then they came down here. There was a crowd of maybe 300 of them. They forced their way down to here, and then when they got to the gates, the other side of the armoured vehicle, they pushed the gates down and then broke in through the window.
After occupying the courthouse for 3 days, the protesters felt they'd made their point and agreed to leave peacefully with the police. But things were about to take a turn for the worse.
Once they were taken into detention, they were put into prison escort vehicles and they were taken out by the rear gate here. When they proceeded out through the rear, the vehicles come under attack. Once they came back in here and they regrouped, we then thought that we would try and get them out through the main gate there. After trying to get out, the back was blocked and we tried to get them to leave out the front. This is where the convoy came under attack.
The situation quickly descended into chaos.
And as you can see from the marks here, one of the UN vehicles was actually burnt in this area. This was a bus that was setting fire. You can still see the hard Scotch marks from it. What they were doing was they were using the petrol station to make their Molotov cocktails. They were rolling up with crates of bottles, just filling them with petrol, putting cloth into them and just throwing them constantly.
The mob succeeded in freeing the protesters and then attacked with a renewed vigour.
Here we come under attack from AK-47s down here, mortars from fire from AK-47s, 3 to 4 hand grenades thrown at the front gate, another 45 are thrown at the back gate. We've got mortar attack coming in above us. It was a war zone.
And in the battle, one of David's colleagues paid the ultimate price.
Officer Ihor from Ukraine was subject to a hand grenade at the far side of the fence there, where he sustained serious injuries that resulted in his death.
By the time it was over, the police had lost 1 officer and 63 others lay injured.
Knowing that it was a fellow officer, it hurts you. You think to yourself, is there anything I could have done better to improve things? Who was to blame? Can I find the culprit that carried it out? And that's my main aim at the moment, is to make sure that a thorough investigation is carried out.
In the last year of the 20th century, Kosovo was devastated by war. With no established law and order, the Kosovo Police Service was set up to try and bring stability to the region. One of those recruits has gone on to become one of Kosovo's toughest police officers. Her name is Naima Kalakovic.
Ndihem krenare, që jam një kamen edhe e udhëheqit të mashkuj, ishtë në një set, edhe po ashtu rezultatet e ty tregojnë se do thëtë edhe ata krenohen me punën që e bëj për ta.
At 27 years old, she has already risen through the ranks and leads a unit of 29 men.
Matë mira goditje do thëtë ju këtu, qendra e masës. Gjithmonë kërkohet edhe trajnimi jonë është gjithmonë personi dyshim që llohet qendra e masës. Jashtë patrullit nuk është detektivës.
Naima's team was set up to tackle the heavily armed criminals who see Kosovo as an easy target. They train hard week in, week out, because they know from bitter experience that any operation could be their last.
Kolegu Triumfi do thëtë ka humbë jetën në detyrë. Ka qenë një oficer ndër më të mirët në tërë Kosovën. Po në këtë rast edhe pse ndim ndoshta edhe sot që punoj ndi veten shumë keq, kriminalët e ka arrit qëllimit edhe në detyrë kanë vrarë do thëtë kolegu. Po pikërisht do thëtë e kom ndi veten si një pjesë trupit humbja.
Even though she has seen one of her closest friends killed in the line of duty, her resolve has not wavered.
Policia pikërisht që e du këtë profesion, edhe më duket si pjesa jetës, po ashtu e ndi vetën si kur bërë që e kom që t'i vendit, edhe qësoj popullatët që tu për mi afru ndim ose mi shërby.
Nevç, ma kanë mështë.
Naima and her team are getting ready to go into the town of Paya. an area of Kosovo known as the Wild West because of its history of gunfights. They're conducting a training exercise, learning how to stop highly dangerous suspects involved in organised crime. It may only be practice, but the lessons learned could save their lives, so they're playing it for real.
Patrolla numër 3 po ndëgjoni. Lokacion t'juve, na njoftoni sa persona jonë në vetur.
Tonight they're learning how to track and apprehend a suspect vehicle. Once they're on the suspect's tail, the chase is on.
Po, do thëtë ata veç jonë të informume dhe tash jena në pritje për informat për i patrollës nëmër 3 më na njoftu, a ka vjen dyshim të ndrejtim tonë dhe apo jo.
Namer's unit work as a team, with her car overtaking the suspect at the last minute to box him in. It's finished in little over a minute, but the exercise isn't over. When dealing with organised crime bosses, getting them from the crime scene to the cell is one of the most risky parts of an arrest. The training has gone well. Exercises like tonight's are vital for Namer's team. They need to stay sharp, as their lives depend on it.
Po, do thëtë 99% për i rasteve, do thëtë që e kanë në Kosovë, këtu do thëtë gjithmonë kriminali janë në atë nivelin të rrezikshmërisë shumë të lartë, janë atë pajisur ma special si kur oficerët e tjerë, e kena armet e gjata, cilat I përdorin pikrisht për qatë arsye se
We're with the cops in Kosovo, a part of the world at odds with itself. A society racked with division, tension, and ethnic violence.
It's Sunday morning in Pristina, Kosovo's capital city. Lieutenant Besart Ahmeti and his unit are getting ready to police a political protest.
A pak ma shpejt. Gjem, tash po nisëm, po im në ndërtesë të ujenit, parking. Do shkojmë atje dhe ndosim që më të pajisëm në gjithë, pa rotacion, pa land, do të nisëm drejtin të aty.
They know from first-hand experience that the peace on a day like today can very easily be shattered. Last time this group held a protest, it turned into the worst riot Pristina has ever witnessed.
Edhe në vitin e kalum, me 10 shkurt patën organizu një protest. Shumë protesta mirë po vlen ceket me 10 shkurt, kur protesta ka qenë më e dhunshme, edhe ka pas të lëndum nga ona e qytetarëve, pjesëmarrësve në protest, edhe nga ona e policisë.
2 protesters were killed and 70 were injured as the streets of Pristina became battlefields. 8 cops were also wounded.
Ndjenja për me qenë një protest dhunshme, ndjenja sigurisht që nuk është e mirë. Në të vërtet nuk është e mirë dhe nuk dëshiroj që kërkush me konë.
They have been assigned to protect the UN compound, as last time protesters attempted to storm official buildings. Vet Vendosia, the group who rioted, have again mobilised nearly 1,000 protesters So the police are out in force. Vet Vendosia are incensed that Kosovo Serbs are being allowed to vote in Serbia's general election, despite the fact that they are nationals of Kosovo, which it now sees as an independent state with no links to Serbia. The protest starts peacefully as the group make their way towards the UN building. As the protesters gather in front of the compound, Besart and his men move into position, knowing that the trouble could start at any moment. Protesters start bombarding the UN compound with rubbish. Besart and his team hold their positions. They then up the ante by washing down the compound with pig slurry. Despite the provocative actions of the crowd, the police remain restrained. This time it appears that both the protesters and the police have learnt the lessons of the previous year.
Përderisa nuk ka pas asnjë polic edhe asnjë protestues lëndum, sigurisht që gjithçka ka shkuar në rregull. Mendoj se duhet të respektohet vullneti i protestuesve, secili qytetar i Kosovës ka drejt protestoj për ato që mendon se është diçka e gabueshme.
It's this freedom that the people of Kosovo have fought so hard for. Now the officers of the KPS face a new battle against the criminal gangs attempting to overrun their homeland.
The standard of policing that you have from them is very, very high, and considering their poor quality of pay and the professionalism they show, I think it's a credit to them.
Nuk e kam as dëshirë, prap as vullnet, po as mendja nuk u kam shkuar për mendje shoh do të profesional.
I'm proud doing my work because I'm doing for my home country, for my people, and I'm thinking that the future is going to be better and better than it was in the past.
Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops.
Papua New Guinea is one of the most remote countries in the world. An idyllic wilderness, home to over 800 different tribes, unchanged for thousands of years. But below the tranquil surface lies a long history of tribal conflict and bloodshed. And recently, this violence has moved from the isolated highlands to the streets of the capital city, Port Moresby. As gangs swap their spears and axes for homemade guns. Carjackings, shootouts, and revenge killings keep the city in the grip of terror. With the situation at breaking point, a recent poll officially named Port Moresby as the worst city in the world. And battling to control the chaos is the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Cops who have to deal with violent criminals.
The mentality here is like that. You don't listen to me, I'll kill you.
There'll be no warning shots. We're gonna shoot you on the spot.
Lawlessness on a massive scale.
We have more than 300 kilograms of marijuana.
And a volatile political state that's seen the police turn on the army.
The police was to throw tear gas into the military barracks.
Papua New Guinea, or PNG, is located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, just to the north of Australia. It has a population of just over 6 million, 300,000 of whom live in the capital, Port Moresby. Decades of corruption in government has left nearly half the population living below the poverty line, making Port Moresby a divided city. The rich hide behind razor wire, while the poor live in sprawling shanty towns. As a result, criminal gangs known as rascals have emerged from the slums, battling with the police for control of the streets. And these gangs have become more and more organised. A recent spate of audacious heists has left the police in the grip of a new crisis. Leading the fight against organised crime is the cop that PNG's criminals fear the most. Sergeant Apollos Terry of the CID unit. With 23 years in the force, nothing phases him.
I have never been moved by threats, regardless of what sort of threats have been issued to me or my family. I should not be worried. It should be the other way around. The criminals should be worried that Apollos is actually on their trail.
Borocco Police Station, in the centre of Port Moresby, is where the fight against organised crime is based. This rundown office is where the CID unit plan their raids on the country's criminal elite.
I am prepared to put my life on the line. I've come across a lot of dangerous situations, and I've never even given up yet.
Apollos and his team are currently closing in on one of PNG's most wanted men, William Capis. So notorious, he's even featured on national television.
Hello and welcome to Crime Stoppers. Police intelligence has identified convicted prisoner escapee William Capis as the mastermind behind the BSP bank robbery in Medang, in which over 2 million kina was stolen.
Having escaped from prison while serving a 22-year sentence for the attempted murder of a cop, Capis has been on the run for the last 2 years.
A major police operation is now being launched in an effort to track down Capis and his accomplices.
Apollos and his team have spent months tracking him. Finally, all their hard work is coming together. They're putting the finishing touches to a plan to raid the gang's hideout later in the evening. But the mission is high risk.
We got the intelligence that they were armed, and we were expecting probably shootouts.
It's 8 p.m. and the cops assemble for the raid. Just as they are leaving, Apollos decides it's too dangerous for our crew to go along.
There's no way that just I could come.
Sorry?
There's no way that just I could come.
No, I'm afraid not on this trip. No.
Backed up by PNG's heavily armed task force, the Mobile Squad, the unit are off to take down one of PNG's most wanted men. With a high chance of a shootout, they're heading out on one of the most dangerous missions of their careers.
In Papua New Guinea and its capital Port Moresby, the cops are up against violent criminals whose disregard for the law means they fear nothing.
At Port Moresby's main police station, it's the morning after a CID raid to capture one of PNG's most wanted men, William Kappis.
Covered in Kappis's blood, Sergeant Apollos Terry has been up all night.
But finally he has his man.
After 2 years on the run, Kappis is behind bars, having been shot in both legs after a confrontation with the cops. He's being questioned over a gold bullion heist worth over £500,000, and also the killing of a cop, although so far no charges have been brought against him. He's also brought in 26 members of Kappis's gang, 3 of whom are serving cops, suspected to be on Kappis's payroll.
Okay, basically what happened last night was my men moved into the area. We stopped them, we approached them in a very cautious way. He was considered dangerous and armed as well. So when we moved in, he tried to escape, so we wounded him. And he was taken to the hospital last night, treated, and is now currently behind bars. I am pleased, and at the same time I am tired.
As forensics get to work on the evidence, the suspects, minus a seriously injured Kappis, are led from the cells for questioning. Security has been stepped up around the station, as Kappis has a history of breaking out of prison.
He was actually caught on several occasions, locked up in the cells, and he managed to escape from this. So we're taking every precaution so that he does not escape again. We normally keep the most dangerous one in a separate cells. That's the CID cell, so he's currently in one of those cells, separate cells.
But there's not much chance of him escaping this time, as later that afternoon, even the cops can't open the cells.
I think the guys lost the key to the cells, so we tried to get the doctors and the medical team to attend to him, but they could not simply because the key to the lock was misplaced.
Eventually, a solution is found.
So the guys just went in there and cut the lock off, and they're attending to him now.
With the situation under control, the police get to work processing the suspects. They need to get back out on the streets, as suspected gang members are still on the loose.
We're working on search warrants and all this, so as soon as we get the search warrants done, we will be conducting more raids.
CID may have taken out Kappis, one of PNG's most wanted men, but the country is plagued by deadly criminal gangs, the Rascals. They terrorise the community with daring robberies in broad daylight. The gangs are notorious for armed hold-ups and brutal revenge killings. In Port Moresby, outside the fortified homes of the wealthy, 50% of the population live in makeshift slums. Usually controlled by the Rascals, these settlements are often no-go areas, even for the police. But with the help of a local fixer, our crew arranged to meet a dangerous gang member deep inside Rascal territory. Because he could be targeted by the cops, he asked to remain anonymous.
My gang's called 007.
And how many of you are in the gang?
Shit. It's more than 100.
There are over 50 rascal gangs in Port Moresby who commit violent and brutal crimes.
Like hold-ups and car thefts. We have the money and yeah, if you disturb or stop us to get the money, we kill him. It could be anybody, men, women or children.
Do you worry about killing another person or do you not?
No, I don't. How can I worry when there's plenty of people around?
Rascal gangs are well armed. often with homemade guns made out of water pipes and umbrella springs. So with criminals making their own weapons, it's impossible for the cops to control the number of guns on the street.
Do you own a gun?
Yeah, I do own a gun. It's a homemade gun, like I told you.
Have you ever shot anybody?
Yeah, but I didn't kill anyone yet. Maybe I attempt to, but I didn't successfully kill someone yet.
With this casual attitude to killing, the rascals spread terror across PNG. And one of the most feared crimes is carjacking. This footage, shot by an Australian reporter, shows the rascals in action.
Sometimes we just stand by the road, and if you drive in to the shops or maybe your house, they just run after you with the gun on your head, take you out of the car, get your car and go.
Driver, take off. Take him over. Take him over.
If you don't cooperate, then we get to kill you. There'll be no warning shots.
Take off. Take off.
We're gonna shoot you on the spot.
PNG's gangs may be ruthless, but according to this rascal, the police force is equally unforgiving.
There's police there doing police brutality, but we don't give a fuck about it, you know? It feels like normal in this country. You know, everyone gets brutalized by police.
Do you fear the police at all?
Yeah. When the police catches us, it depends on them. If they want to shoot you, they shoot you. If you make a serious crime, they get to blow your legs off. In Papua New Guinea, everybody breaks the law. Even the very own people that makes the law.
In response to these allegations, the police said that there is no place in the constabulary for officers who abuse members of the public. They investigate all claims of abuse, and corrupt officers have been sacked and even imprisoned for abusing the law. The police in PNG are continuing their efforts to take action against anyone involved in brutality. In recent years, the criminals have become more and more daring in their attempts to outdo the cops. On the 23rd of December 1999, an audacious robbery signalled the start of a new crime wave in PNG. 4 armed criminals, dressed as army officers, hijacked a helicopter and attempted to rob a bank in what became known as the Millennium Robbery. Sergeant David Terry was one of the first police officers called to the scene.
What happened was they flew all the way to town and landed the chopper right on top of the bank, right behind me. After landing the chopper, the gunmen entered the bank through the top, and they wanted to rob the bank. They wanted to open the vaults.
But faced with armed resistance from the bank's security guards, the gang fled empty-handed and tried to escape in the helicopter.
All the people in town looking at the chopper on the top of the building it was very dramatic. There was a policeman who was on duty at the town police station. He ran in front of the building, took out his shotgun, and shot at the helicopter as the chopper was trying to lift off from the building. The pellet hit the side of the chopper, and as the chopper was taking off towards the Port Moresby harbour, it crashed right in front of the waterfront. This is the scene where a helicopter came down, here. Almost rammed into this big building here, flew past this way and fell right over here.
Despite crashing 80 feet to the ground, the gang survived and were determined to get away.
The occupants scrambled out and they started shooting at the police. So there was a gunfight going on here.
The innocent pilot was trapped in the crossfire.
The pilot was saved. The pilot was taken to safety by members of the police who were at the front of the harbor.
With all bystanders out the way, the battle intensified.
The boys, they stood their ground and they shot 3 on the spot.
3 of the gang members died immediately, while the 4th was caught by the police, having been injured in the shootout.
You were lucky, mate.
One of them was shot and captured, but because the boys were using very high-powered weapons, you know, he sustained a lot of injuries, and as he was taken to the hospital, he succumbed to his injuries and died.
Had you ever seen anything like it before?
No, not in my history with the police force. It looked like a war zone, or seemed like a terrorist attack, you know, like what you see in London or in America.
Despite the major crime epidemic in PNG, every year thousands of hopefuls apply to join the force. A few miles outside Port Moresby is the National Police Training Centre of Bumana. Police Constable Patrick Palangat has been a cop for 2 years. Now he's training to become a member of the most hardcore unit in PNG, the Mobile Squad. In his short time in the force, Patrick has learnt about the dangers of policing in PNG.
Yeah, we get everything here. The mentality here is like, if you don't listen to me, I'll kill you. So that's what happens most of the time. They kill each other. Nowadays, rascals aren't afraid, so they're not afraid to open up on us. Even if we're in public. Sometimes we catch the crooks, but yeah, shit happens.
The Mobile Squad, otherwise known as SSD, is PNG's elite task force. They were formed to take down the country's most dangerous criminals. From the brutal city streets to the untamed badlands of the bush, their beat is one of the most extreme in the world. Getting into the Mobile Squad is far from easy. From over 4,000 applicants each year, only 26 are selected for the unit. Staying in is just as tough.
On my count.
Today, Patrick must pass a fitness test, fail, and it's back to the street patrol with the regular cops.
Very exhausting. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
The final test is a 10K run in the stifling 35-degree heat.
Your time starts.
Why do you love it so much?
Comradeship. It's like these guys, I don't know their past history, I don't know where they come from, but since we've come here, they've already watched my back, I've watched theirs. So we're pretty much brothers.
The grueling run comes to an end.
How did it go, Patrick?
It's good. It's good.
You think you passed?
Yeah, I passed, definitely. Ask these guys, they'll tell you.
How are you feeling?
Fucked. I'm pretty fucked.
Having passed the test, Patrick knows that harder work lies ahead.
Nowadays, especially here in Moresby, there's a lot of sort of bad feelings towards the police. So a lot of police personnel off duty, they get into trouble. I worry all the time. Basically, I might get bashed up or worse. Yeah, I worry about my life sometimes.
Back at Barocco police station, Apollos and the CID team are holding a briefing. They are preparing for a string of raids. 2 days ago, they captured William Kappis, a man who they'd been hunting for 2 years. They also brought in 26 suspected members of his gang, 3 of whom were serving police officers. But not only are the unit risking their lives fighting the criminal element, there's also a danger from within the force. Some members of the team have been threatened by corrupt cops.
I just want to make a comment here because we seem to be receiving numerous threats. Like it's not all of the police force are fighting against it. Because we are thinking of our family, we have to take it very seriously.
Threats like this mean cops in PNG are fighting more than just the criminals.
If you see some black policeman, you look at him, maybe make him kind of you suspicious, you give him name, come give him metro. Any policeman step out the land, I think there's no place for him in the police force. Okay, he's got to go. You put him with them, trust him, nala, let me walk one them, let's move forward, okay? Okay, anything else? Any final comments? No? Okay.
Despite the threats, there's work to be done. They're on the hunt for more members of Kappas' gang. So Apollos sets off with 10 heavily armed members of the elite mobile squad. We're with the cops in Papua New Guinea, where the traditions of tribal culture mean the cops face an uphill battle to maintain law and order. Head of PNG CID unit, Sergeant Apollos Terry, and 10 heavily armed men are heading out on a string of raids, following the arrest of one of PNG's most wanted men, William Kappis. There's a strong possibility the criminals will be armed, so he's not taking any chances.
When we arrive at the location, we will storm the house, surprise them. That's the best ammunition for such operations. We had intelligence reports that there were actually ammunition and firearms in that location. So if we do come across anyone with a firearm, we're ready for anything.
After a tense 20-minute drive, the unit are deep in one of the city's settlements.
Operational target now. They're not expecting us now, so I don't think they'll be rolling out the red carpet.
We're here. Wait. When it comes to making an entrance, Apollos doesn't mess about. The gang doesn't appear to be in. They probably received a tip-off about the raid.
I think they didn't reset last night. Seems they didn't sleep last night.
The team get to work searching for evidence, linking the suspects to the robberies they believe Kappis was involved with.
We're looking for firearms or money that was stolen during the robbery.
It's not long before they make a shocking discovery.
We found a brand new uniforms, military uniforms.
What's the significance of the uniforms?
We had instances where major robberies were committed using military and police uniforms. So with what we found now, we'll probably try to connect them to the crimes that were committed using military and police uniforms.
This find could be a vital piece of evidence to help convict Kappis and his gang of some of PNG's most high-profile robberies.
Where do people get hold of army uniforms?
They're probably from their friends in the military, also from the police uniforms too. They're coming from the friends in the police force. Okay.
the police start loading the suspects' possessions onto their vehicles. They believe that many of the goods may have been bought with stolen cash.
It doesn't work. You know, he's just a vagrant, and then see that very expensive things in his house, you know. So that's why we have to take him to the station, and then he has to come and produce receipts where he bought them, and then we can return them otherwise, you know.
With the evidence collected, Apolos wants to move on to the next raid as quickly as possible.
Okay, you got one minute. Car, we start moving or something to the next location before start Ringo come. We're going to a place called Rainbow. That's our next target. We believe to be William Capri's accomplice. Such missions, you know, it's always dangerous.
As they arrive at the second location, the police move quickly to secure the area. They find a number of suspected gang members in the garden. The team search the property. They discover a stash of ammunition.
Aram, di mana sokolo extreme low, sin fingerprinta. Di black clear. So blow shot just took out sona dari mi finish ni go. Di black clear. Bayu owapo.
Unsurprisingly, none of the gang will admit to owning the bullets. So Apolos gets tough.
Arama, di block mi siya, nunggu di block sin pena trango. So blow shot just took out sona mi ko takalo station. Nunggu di block sin. We found 3 bullets. We will take them to the police station and ask them where the firearm is.
Are they all under arrest?
Yes, they're under arrest.
The 8 suspects are squeezed into a police van and taken back to the station for questioning. In Papua New Guinea, not only are the cops battling against high levels of crime, a lack of resources means they're having to do it with one arm tied behind their backs. There are just 4,900 police officers in the entire PNG force, policing a population of over 6 million people. With so few cops, catching criminals is an uphill battle. And even if the cops do lock them up, they might not have to suffer the horrendous conditions for very long. The rascal that spoke to our crew alleges that there are ways of avoiding jail.
The last job I did put me in prison. Fuck. Yeah, it was like break and enter, hold up, and car theft. But I escaped it. I paid the policeman to get my way out. Because if I don't, then I'll be in the prison. So I gave him a 50 and I came out. He got that money and accepted with a smile, and I made no big deal out of it.
50 kina is the equivalent of just £11.
Even police need money, you know? They don't get highly paid. How can you live with 300 kina when there's 3,000 kina offered to you for free?
In response to these allegations, the police said that they recognise that there have been instances where prisoners have escaped from police custody in suspicious circumstances, and these cases are under investigation. If these allegations are proved, they will review their procedures to ensure that this doesn't continue. In the remote highlands, many villagers grow potent marijuana for sale in the city. And the drug trade is controlled by criminal gangs. They're often under the influence when they commit their brutal crimes. But the police are fighting back. Today, the Vice Squad are having a clear out. On wasteland just outside Port Moresby, they're burning marijuana seized during their drugs raids. Leading the battle against drugs is Inspector Joel Capinus.
We have more than 300 kilograms of marijuana. There's so much marijuana leaves that you need to make that weight.
On the streets of the UK, these drugs would be worth more than £1 million. But for PNG's criminals, the marijuana has taken on a far more sinister value.
Drugs are being traded for guns too. It's a dangerous trend now, like in Papua New Guinea. Before, arms is not a problem, but now it's a problem.
With the bonfire built, Joel sets fire to 300 kilos of grade A cannabis. As well as marijuana, the Vice Squad have been busy taking other illicit materials off the streets of PNG.
Pornography is it's illegal in PNG, so you can't find any magazines such as Playboy sold in the country.
With PNG's strict moral laws, there's some unusual items going on the fire.
Some of those things that we refused in the country are sex aid materials like penis enlargers or vibrators that anything to do with sex connotations.
It's really hot here.
The cops have burnt a huge amount of drugs. But they're not just up against criminals. Many villagers sell dope just to survive.
Ordinary people from the villages, they cultivate marijuana and sell them to get money for their children's school fees and to buy basic needs for themselves. So it's not confined to criminals. Everybody sells marijuana.
PNG is plagued by drugs, gangs and corruption. But when civil war broke out in 1990, the chaos reached new heights. 500 miles northeast of Port Moresby is Bougainville, one of over 600 islands that make up PNG. It was here that a dispute over one of the world's largest copper mines led to a bloody civil war that lasted nearly 10 years and claimed an estimated 50,000 lives. Angry islanders formed the Bougainville Revolutionary Army, the BRA, and waged a guerrilla campaign against the government to stop them plundering the island's natural resources. With the army struggling to control the chaos, the police mobile squad were drafted in. Senior Constable Andrew Cumbia is a Bougainville veteran who did 7 tours of duty during the conflict.
The environment itself was very scary. You cannot see many people moving around. We have been shot at many times, but you don't know where the enemy is.
For Andrew, the guerrilla fighting was a whole new world.
Being a policeman, it's very hard because I haven't been trained as a army personnel. I thought that I was going to be a policeman, not to be involved in a war.
With no end in sight, the situation took a bizarre twist. When back in Port Moresby, the Bougainville conflict caused the police and the army to start fighting each other. A dispute with the government over funding sparked an army mutiny. Loyal to the government, the police launched an assault on the army's Port Moresby base.
The police was to throw tear gas into the military barracks.
5 army officers were injured during the attack. But while political tensions raged on the mainland, the fighting on Bougainville saw many cops pay the ultimate price.
This me and my best friend, Stephen Talibu, was shot by BRA.
Stephen was attacked by militants while bathing in a river.
When he went down to the river, he was ambushed, he was shot, chopped with the machetes, and left in the river. They took his gun and took off. And then when the boys had the gunshot, they went down to the river and they found Stephen's body was in the river.
He was just 26 years old.
I miss him, but you know, as I said, life goes on. I'm lucky to be alive.
After taking so many casualties, the police learnt valuable lessons and now train recruits for hostile environments like Bougainville. At Mobile Squad Barracks, Police Constable Patrick Palangat is packing for a training mission out in the bush. He'll spend 7 days in PNG's lawless wilderness. But packing isn't going to take very long.
They're gonna teach us how to survive in the bush. So when we leave camp, this is all I'm gonna carry. Water bottle here, whatever else I need here, and here, and here. Plus our arms and maybe a knife and axe. That's it. We're gonna go without rations, go with no food.
What kind of things will you end up eating?
Snakes, maybe, snails, frogs.
This survival training could mean the difference between life and death. With 80% of the country covered in dense bushland, rascal gangs in PNG often hide in the outback after committing vicious crimes in the city. And it will be Patrick's job to track down these criminals in some of the toughest terrain on earth.
Usually they send mobile guys to places where people don't go, and they send them after crooks that most other policemen wouldn't want to go after. They carry homemade guns, they carry bush knives, and they're willing to do grievous bodily harm to another just to get what they want.
Up against ruthless criminals, Patrick is happy to have all the help he can get to stay alive.
This is what I wear usually when we go for situations where we know there's going to be a shootout. It's good shit. This stuff will save your life. Yeah.
In Papua New Guinea, a culture of tribal violence and high levels of poverty mean that the cops are trying to control a criminal element of society that has no regard for the law. The country's isolated highlands provide the perfect hideout for criminals on the run from the cops. The police have to train their officers to track down vicious criminals who have fled to the outback. Deep in the hostile bush, the Mobile Squad recruits are 6 days into their survival training. Police Constable Patrick Palangat knows that this training is essential for the cops to stay one step ahead of the criminals.
Rascals, when they do crime they do in the cities, they'll always run to the bush to lay low for a while. We come out here to learn how to go out in the bush and catch these suspects.
Do you like catching the bad guys?
Yeah, it's exhilarating.
Tracking criminals in the bush carries a high risk, so it's vital that the cops are well armed.
AR-15 Bushmaster. Made in US of A.
Squad leader, Inspector Holden Tomanabai, is well aware of the unique dangers of PNG's wilderness.
You're chasing men right into the bush, and you're not too sure whether he has firearms, he has weapons. The rascal will be prepared to kill the police. It's not an easy task, having to try and capture the rascals when they get into the bush.
As As well as fighting rascals, the training also prepares recruits for any conflicts between PNG's 800 tribes.
If you have a tribal fight going up in the highlands, people fighting with bows and arrows, you would not like to bring a riot squad from London here with their batons and shields and say, stop the tribal fight, do you? And therefore, we try to design trainings that are appropriate to address those type of issues.
After 6 days without rations, the unit are finding out exactly what it takes to be a police officer in PNG.
You have to be very mentally tough to be a policeman in PNG. You have to be physically tough too. Let's just say that.
Back in Port Moresby, the constant struggle between the police and the criminals rages on, as ruthless killings plague the city. In the settlements, there's little option but a life of crime, so there's no end to the violence in sight.
I don't kill for fun. I kill for money. Who cares about the victim? Everyone's a victim. Everyone needs money to survive. If you don't have money, you might as well kill another person to eat his flesh.
And the police will always be the enemy.
You have every right to shoot a policeman. Who cares? You shoot them, they shoot you. And we are Papua New Guinea. We're meant to break the law.
For Senior Constable Andrew Kumbia, the hatred between the cops and the criminals runs deep.
Like shooting a criminal, to me, I don't feel anything. I feel like I did something good for the sake of every innocent life that these people goes around and terrorize.
Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops.
Murder, political unrest, armed robbery, drugs and terrorism. Just part of everyday life in the Philippines. At the heart of this country, made up of 7,000 islands, lies Manila, a teeming metropolis of crime. The police here have a saying: when you become a cop, half of you is already dead.
Rather die in action than retire. Ayan, takbo! Ayan, baba! The people here are frightened if the SWAT are coming. Hey, before, be with you.
I could say that I'm a top cop.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, come on!
Located in Southeast Asia, the Philippines has a population of 90 million people. 1.6 million of them live in the capital city of Manila. A heaving mass of people, commerce, poverty and crime. In the midst of the madness lies Tondo, one of the most densely populated districts in the world, with over 500,000 people living in an area of just over 9 square kilometres. And in the first 5 months of 2008, there have already been 15 murders here. At night, it's at its most dangerous. And it's the job of the officers at Tondo Station to police this sprawling and crime-ridden area.
Officer Christopher Larnes is starting his night shift. He's been serving with the Manila Police for 9 years. His job is a highly dangerous one. In the last year, over 100 of his fellow officers in the Philippines National Police have been killed on duty. His shift is just a couple of minutes old when there is a report of an armed robbery.
We have to go now, okay?
Larnes and 2 officers head out to the scene of the crime.
We are on the street of Juan Luna, proceeding to the incident.
It's not long before they encounter their second biggest problem after crime: traffic. Manila's streets are gridlocked.
Back to balik tayo sa parola. Abante niyo, abante, abante! Saan ba yung hold upan dito? Sino may nakakuha na bang pulis? May inaano ba?
Larnes gets out on foot to look for the robbers.
Meron pa ba doon sa kabila? Sa kabila pa ba? Ang ano po? Yung hold upan? Kanina lang pong maaga-aga.
But they seem to have slipped into the chaos. Larnes continues his patrol, heading into the Parola, a slum area called Isla Puting Bata, one of the most dangerous parts of the city. Especially for the police. Two years ago, Larnes was shot here when in pursuit of an armed robber.
At saan sa panay, one hitman they called Banjo, named Banjo. After we have chased them and cornered him, he fired me 3 times and I've been hit here in left legs. I hit here and out with .45 caliber.
Larnes' partner saved his life by killing the gunman.
My body shot in the stomach. It's not my time. I think it's my good luck. Good luck.
Tonight it's just a routine patrol, but in this part of Manila, it's best to expect the unexpected. This slum housing situated on the edge of the Manila Bay is perched on stilts, surrounded by a sea of sewage. It's home to 6,000 families of squatters and is a haven for drug dealers and users. Deep inside, they find a drug den. It's not long been abandoned.
This is where the place. Sometimes they use the drug paraphernalia.
Whoever was here was able to see the cops coming.
There's a mirror. They can see us. So if they were coming, they jump there. They jump the water. Here, they jump here in the sea. Then swim under the houses.
They have escaped through what is effectively an open sewer. Not quite a clean getaway. Two hours later, and Larnes is on the hunt for yet another armed robber. Robbery and theft account for 40% of the crimes committed in the Philippines. A couple have been mugged by 3 men at knife point. Larnes is taking them with him so that they can identify the perpetrators.
We're going to Pier 2 where the victims is being hold up. 3 persons having a knife. Doon. Ikana mo.
Suddenly, he spots 3 suspects who fit the description.
Ayan, tatlo. Ayan, baba.
The chase is on. They flee into the narrow, dark and filthy alleyways of the Parola. With just a torch to guide him, it's almost impossible for Lanes to see anything. Deep inside the Parola, in the pitch black, Lanes' partner catches up with one of the suspects.
May ID ka? Saan ka?
The man has no identification on him and will be taken back to the station for questioning.
I don't think twice. If people need help with us, we go and take response for any kind of incident. I take risks. It's our part of our job, taking risks to count bad elements, bad criminals.
This suspect has come quietly, but when criminals use force, Lanes is prepared to fight fire with fire.
I'm happy when these people, bad criminals, been dead here. Very happy to eliminate those bad criminals.
Because in Manila, all too often the cops have to make the ultimate sacrifice.
We're with the toughest cops in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, where violent crime is spiralling out of control. This vast metropolis is embroiled in a deadly conflict.
This is a country with more than 800,000 legal and 500,000 illegal firearms in circulation. Budget handguns can be bought for as little as $15 US. And so it's no surprise that armed robbery is rife. In just 1 month alone, 19 people were killed during robberies. 2 of them were cops. Together to bury their 2 dead colleagues. Senior Officer Jose Ismael Santos and Officer Francisco Neri were gunned down in a shootout with armed robbers. The Mayor of Manila has given the force a clear instruction. Drop everything and track the killers down. Detective Stephen Cosimiro of the Homicide Department has been assigned to the case.
The suspects made sure that these policemen were dead by shooting them in the head. It's a brutal killing. That's why we are working around the clock. Here in Manila, we make sure that whenever a policeman was killed, we work very hard to find the suspects.
Cosimiro has come to the crime scene.
This is the exact place where one of the policemen was killed. He lay dead here when we arrived at this place.
on a crowded street in broad daylight. A lawyer carrying £10,000 was shot and stabbed repeatedly in his car by the gunman. The two officers heard the shots and went straight to the scene, where a truck was parked in the street.
The suspect were in front of the truck, and the policemen were at the back of the truck. And this is the place where engage each other with their gunfire.
The two officers died from multiple wounds. Kosovo was looking for witnesses to the triple murder.
A lot of people see this thing happen.
The problem he faces is that people are scared to talk.
Ito yung mga litrato. Yung mga bago tayong litrato. Sometimes we have some difficulty of convincing these people to give information. Ito. They fear for the suspect. So we have to talk to them cautiously so that we can convince them.
No guns, no chases, just questions, but no answers. This is one of the toughest jobs a cop can face. The Philippines is no stranger to political unrest. It has witnessed dictatorship, martial law, and multiple attempts to overthrow the government. Since the government of infamous dictator Ferdinand Marcos was overthrown by the People Power Revolution in 1986, there have been around a dozen uprisings or coup attempts. In times of national emergency, the police call in their most elite unit, the Special Action Force.
May the force be with you.
The Special Action Force is an elite unit and is modelled on the British SAS. They were called into action in November 2007 when a group of renegade Philippine soldiers attempted to overthrow the government. They were already on trial for a previous mutiny 4 years earlier, but broke out of court. And along with 300 heavily armed soldiers, barricaded themselves into a hotel and called for a change in government. In response, 1,500 troops surrounded the hotel. Leading them were officers from the Special Action Force. The mutineers were given a deadline to surrender. Civilians were evacuated from the hotel. After the deadline passed, SAF soldiers prepared to storm the building. Gunshots were exchanged between the police and the rebel soldiers. Then an armoured personnel carrier was brought in, which first fired on and then stormed the hotel lobby. The mutineers were arrested without anyone being killed or injured. For the SAF, the mission was a success. Today, the latest batch of recruits are undergoing the commando course. Part of the training is called Hell Week, which does exactly what it says on the tin, including 2 30-kilometre runs a day in full kit.
Warriors 48! Warriors 48! Warriors 48! Warriors 48! Warriors 48! Warriors 48!
Specialist training involves close-quarter combat with a variety of weapons. Drill Sergeant Mark Ballesteros is putting the recruits through their paces.
So today you will learn about night fighting, and everything about its technique, to include the harness,
Harness is the term for the Filipino fighting arts.
Next is jumping attack. Ready, jump. Jump high, jump low. Cross jump, then center jump. Okay, ready?
Yes, it is a jabbing technique. It is that the enemy is not so close to you. You have to reach through the knife, just like that.
As well as knife fighting techniques, the commandos learn how to use more traditional weapons. They are taught the ancient martial art of stick fighting.
Students are already proficient in knife fighting and stick fighting. But if you are asking about the mastery of the skill, it will take years.
Rookie Jackie Rance has 1 month left of the 6-month-long course. She joined up because she felt an inner urge to be part of the SAF.
It's a calling, and we think that this is our fate, so we are training hard for it to save ourselves and save the people. It's really fulfilling on my part because belonging in a man's world. Actually, even my daughter calls me Superwoman because I can be with the man. So it's really fulfilling for me. And I think also it's very fulfilling for them, for the other women.
Jackie and her fellow female recruits are hoping to join the 303 women officers currently serving in the SAF.
I could say that I'm a top cop. Okay, we've just undergone a combat maneuver. We have been in the mountains for 7 days. We've been trying hard to climb the mountains, reach the target that have been assigned to us. And I think that's one of the evidences, the proof that all women here are tough.
Back at Homicide, Detective Cosimero and his team have received the tip-off. One of the suspects in the double cop murder has been treated for gunshot wounds in a hospital just outside Manila. He might still be there, so they're not taking any chances.
All right, let's go. He should be vigilant and careful when we are approaching the vicinity of the reported clinic, since the reported suspect might have been confined in that clinic, and his companion may be also there.
They make a quiet arrival at the hospital.
Yung kung may dinala rito nung May 12.
May 12.
Shooting. May 12. Okay, basa mo nga kung meron dumating ditong nabaril sa hita. Ayun, oh. Nasaan to?
Puta, alas 2, pare.
Oo, positive to, pare.
The man they're after definitely checked in. But is he still there? The hospital manager delivers the news that they don't want to hear. He's no longer there. The trail appears to have gone cold.
He was treated there in that hospital, and after several hours, he was discharged against the advice of the doctor.
But Casimiro is determined to catch the killers.
I like to meet them.
What will you say to them when you meet them?
I don't know what we will be talking about, but I'm sure I'm glad to see them. I'd be glad to see them.
The cops in Manila are facing a huge challenge. Not only are they fighting kidnapping and drug trafficking, but the threat of terrorism hangs heavy.
Since the turn of the millennium, Islamic extremist groups have killed or injured more than 1,700 people in the Philippines. Separatist groups, including Abu Sayyaf, are demanding a separate Islamic state, independent of the mostly Catholic Philippines. In 2004, Abu Sayyaf was responsible for the bombing of a passenger ferry in which 113 people were killed. Because the government of the Philippines has close links with the West, this has made it a target for anti-American aggression from these groups, which are linked to Al-Qaeda. This man has been at the forefront of Manila's fight against terrorism.
All you need is kick it. Like that. Okay?
Jojo de la Cruz is part of the SWAT team. He's a man who lives for the job, but he's not afraid to die doing it.
I'd rather die in action than retire. I never wanted to retire. I'd rather be dead in that first burst of fire. I will be very happy and very proud to be there lying than retiring without doing anything for my career as being a SWAT personnel.
SWAT were involved in a bloody battle with Islamic terrorists at Camp Bayjon jail in March 2005. Militant prisoners snatched weapons from guards, killing 3 of them in an attempt to escape. After a day-long siege, the police stormed the prison. 22 prisoners and 1 policeman were killed during the operation.
You use this one and this one.
In 2003, Jojo was part of a special task force. It was put together to catch the Philippines' most wanted terrorist. Indonesian Fatua Algozi had been responsible for one of the worst terror atrocities Manila had ever witnessed. In December 2000, 5 near simultaneous bomb attacks hit the city. 22 people were killed and 120 were injured. He was arrested in January 2002 and confessed to planning the bombings. But the following July, he escaped from prison and fled to the south of the country.
We were ordered by the president to hunt him down.
Jojo and 3 fellow operatives spent 2 months chasing shadows.
Unbelievable, like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Then, with the help of an informant, they were able to find their target.
Eventually, we were able to get Algozi. He was training young bombers in the south.
They provided the informant with a car, which was given to Algozi. Now Jojo almost had his man.
I installed a tracking device underneath. So we were monitoring that vehicle from the first day we give it to him to the last.
On the 12th of October 2003, Jojo's team were informed that Algozi was on the move. He was attempting to leave the Philippines. The team went to intercept his vehicle and flagged it down. The driver ignored the signal and a chase ensued. Jojo and his men blocked the vehicle and were met with 2 gun bursts. They returned fire.
He was given a burst of shot in the fatal mass of his body. When we saw him trying to get a hand grenade from his pocket. It was a clear encounter with Algosi, who was trying to evade arrest and at the same time trying to inflict damage or casualties to our ranks.
But the duties of the SWAT team are not confined to special ops. They have to carry out regular day-to-day duties just like normal cops. The motorcycle unit are a highly visible presence on the streets of Manila.
If the SWAT are coming. Yeah.
Erwin Unai is one of the cops who regularly patrols Manila on his bike.
Since I was young, I always been to become a policeman.
Many crimes are carried out by felons on motorbikes. In just 3 months in 2008, the Philippines witnessed 424 crimes committed with the use of bikes. 150 of them involved shootings, including 50 murders. With only 10% of these two-wheeled incidents being solved, they need to be proactive and not reactive.
We are conducting a choke point here. We are looking for guns like 9mm, 45, or bladed weapons. They are armed. They are armed, and they fight the police. They have no respect in the police. I'm afraid of being shot, but to perform my duty, that's one of the riskiest thing in our job as a SWAT team.
What if every day of your working life, you never knew what was around the next corner?
Senior SWAT member Jojo De La Cruz knows all too well about the risks of being a cop. When he was 7 years old, an event took place that would change his life forever. He witnessed his father, who was a criminal, take revenge on a police officer who had beaten him up.
When he saw that policeman doing traffic in the middle of the street, in front of my eyes, I really remember this. That policeman was shot by my father.
The officer was killed.
One thing that I cannot forget is my father being dragged by policemen along that long path, followed by my mother, and they both disappeared in the darkness.
Jojo was taken into the care of his uncle, who was a police officer.
We used to play with the children of other officers. That's the time when I really fell in love of being a policeman. When something very bad happens in your past, you will always make sure that it will not happen to you, right? I focus my direction to the right path.
22 years later, and despite having a wife and 2 children, Jojo is still very much married to the force.
Yeah, how much time do you spend at home?
Almost no time at all. You know, you see what sacrifice you need to do when you're a member of a SWAT team? I don't remember anymore how my bed looks like.
With
over 36,000 kilometres of coastline, the Philippines is a paradise for smugglers. Drugs are a major problem here. 6.7 million Filipinos are drug dependents. It's also the crystal meth capital of the world, or as it's known in the Philippines, shabu. It generates more than $4 billion a year in illegal revenue. The Philippines is also a transit point for the export of the drug to Japan, Australia, and the US. Superintendent Mariano is part of Manila's drug squad. He and his team are about to conduct a sting operation on suspected shabu dealers in the Pedican district in the southwest of the city, an area notorious for drug dealing.
We have received an information to our informants that the suspect now is now selling shabu. So we have to make some immediate operation so that we can arrest the suspect. Because maybe after 1 hour, his stuff will be gone.
They must move quickly. Mariano's officers have to buy the drugs from the suspected dealers to make an arrest.
These are my operatives. They are conducting some briefing on how to arrest the pusher. In that car, the team leader is giving instruction to the police officers, especially to the pusher buyer, the one who will be buying drugs to the pusher.
The pusher buyer is the term for the undercover cop who will buy the drugs during the sting.
When the pre-arranged signal of the pusher buyer, immediately all of the operatives will gather to assist the pusher buyer in arresting the drug pusher.
The operation is a dangerous one for the officers involved.
We have received a report that there's some drug pushers carrying firearms.
Now all Mariano can do is sit and wait for the call. Tense minutes later, the undercover cops call for backup.
Going. There's a call from the police officers there. But we have to go immediately.
The sting has been a success. 2 pushers have been arrested for dealing shabu. One thing Mariano is always wary of is corruption. Pushers will attempt to bribe officers in order to let them go, but he won't allow any dirty cops to operate on his watch.
I want to show my men that I'm with you. I'll be going with you in the operation. I will be the one to attend the court hearings. I know what I'm doing. I know what is my job. So they cannot pull me. I know the do's and the don'ts here. So much more, I know if they're doing something fishy or not.
In the Philippines, the punishment for drug dealing is draconian. No matter what amount a pusher is found with, the sentence will be the same. They face the prospect of 15 years to life imprisonment. It's a heavy price to pay. Prison in the Philippines is hard. In some cases, prison cells designed for 20 inmates house 200. And over the next 8 years, the prison population is estimated to increase by 13% a year.
In the heart of Southeast Asia is the Philippines. The capital, Manila, is a teeming metropolis of crime. And for the cops, hostage sieges, bombings and prison breaks are all in a day's work.
In the Philippines, the cops are on the front line of a crime battle being played out on the streets. In just 2 months in 2008 alone, 20 officers of the Philippines National Police were killed in the line of duty. And tonight, Jojo De La Cruz and the SWAT team are about to put their lives on the line yet again. They're preparing for a big operation in Tondo. It's called a saturation drive. They will enter an area where they believe wanted criminals are located. And they will attempt to flush out the felons for whom they have arrest warrants. Some of them are serious criminals wanted for murder. One of the officers heading out on the raid is 31-year-old Joel Kazupanan. As well as his body armour and his M16, he's also armed with his prayer book.
Gives me strength, and I can feel the presence. I can feel the presence of the Lord whenever I'm down and in crisis.
Joel joined the force to help provide for his mother and 2 younger brothers. Since he was a boy, he has been head of the family.
My father passed away when I was only 11. So it is my mother who raised us.
What do they think of you being a policeman and specifically being in the SWAT team?
They're proud of me. They're proud of me. I guess.
Having lost her husband, Joel's mother doesn't want to lose her son.
She said, just always take good care and pray.
Joel and his fellow officers are briefed on who they are looking for and where they think they will be.
These are our target personalities.
We'll proceed to the area and then we will search every house to look for the people in the photographs.
The talking and the planning is over. Now it's time for action. Joel knows from past experience on saturation drives that this is a dangerous mission.
Well, times like this, you feel nervous. You don't know what is going to happen there. One of the unforgettable moments was the raid conducted in Yamu. We were surprised by one of the suspects when we were about to enter the building. One of our men was fatally shot.
They arrive at the target location and head into the parola on foot. They are closing in on their targets. Some of the other SWAT officers who entered the slum from a different entrance have caught up with the suspects. The saturation drivers caught them unawares as they have been casually playing pool. But their game is up.
Bakit ka na? Gusto mong sumama dito?
The mission is complete and Joel and his team are all in one piece. He lets his family know that he's safe.
We have rounded up some of the suspects, and we are still going to check their identity when we get back to the station.
The next morning, Jojo takes some of his little free time to spend with his family. His visits are often brief, and because of the dangers he faces in his job, he can never be sure that the next one won't be his last.
It's in your mind and in your heart. You must be at all times ready for that. If you're a policeman, half of is in the ground. If you're a SWAT member, only your head is not in the ground. Your head is on top of the ground. The whole body is underneath.